Champions Cup semi-finals, folks, are in the bag. It's going to be Northampton taking on Bordeaux in the final in a couple of weeks' time in Cardiff. I, for one, as a guy sitting here the other side of the world, I'm kind of happy it's going to be a new winner because we've had La Rochelle, Toulouse and Leinster contesting like the last four finals. So to see some new teams in the finals, I think breathes a bit of fresh air into the competition. It's going to be, I don't know, that bit extra spicy, maybe a little bit more meaningful. Like, it would have been nice to see Leinster go to another final and maybe get another star and Geordie Barrett. You know, that would have been massive news over here in New Zealand, but not to be. They got rolled at home by a very slick Northampton side, and Bordeaux handled the pressure really well against Toulouse. We'll go through the matches pretty quick, smart, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on the games. How does this affect potential Lions selections? Who are you picking, head or heart, for the final, Northampton or Bordeaux? I haven't looked at the odds yet, but I would say that Northampton are probably going to be relatively big underdogs, but they were underdogs against Leinster, 37-34. Hat-trick in the first half to Tommy Freeman. Pollock lived up to that hype that's going around him. And Ram gets one in the second half, plus 3 conversions and 2 penalties is enough. For Leinster, they scored the same amount of tries. Tommy O'Brien still looks very sharp. Van der Fleer bagged a couple as well. Doris got one and James Lowe as well. Same amount of conversions from them, 3 from 5. Just the 1 penalty. So it's a 3-point game. But honestly, I feel like Northampton are pretty decent value for their win. I think most Leinster fans have been pretty gracious in the defeat because it was a cracking game of rugby. Like, the lead changed, I think, 4 times, but overall, Northampton led for over an hour in this game, and their coach said in the post-match that it would have been kind of brutal for their guys to lose it at the death. But sometimes that's just what happens in sports. You can be leading right up into the last minute and still lose it. But geez, they were slick, and I feel like you'd have to say they just did more with less. Like, the first half, they had so much less ball. I think they had, 42% possession? So way less ball, but had more defenders beaten, 24-17. They were busting tackles. Some pretty big gun Leinster players missed a decent number of tackles. And I know Leinster, when you send guys shooting out of the line, the tackle completion rate sometimes suffers because the job is not necessarily to make the tackle 100%, but at least to disrupt the play. But still, some of the tackle counts don't make pretty reading for some pretty big gun Leinster players. Like I said, clean breaks was 6-4 at halftime to Northampton. They had a heap more run meters, so they were looking really good value and had already run in 4 tries, which is no mean feat because Leinster's defence has been exceptionally stingy in the Champions Cup, but they still scored some tries of their own, and they certainly outscored Northampton in the second half, but it wasn't quite enough to come back. There was obviously a bit of TMO intervening at the end. Is it a try to Ross Byrne in the corner? It's hit the flag, and was there a knock-on in the build-up, all that kind of stuff. It seems like the officials went through that one pretty well. Leinster still had one last throw of the dice at it, but Northampton's defence held when it needed to hold. So, yeah, for a side that led 66 minutes of the game, they got more defenders beaten in the game, 41-30. They had more run meters, 517 to 354. I think they're pretty good value for the win. I mentioned Pollock, 23 out of 24 tackles, is the top tackler of the game. For context, the next best tacklers was Langdon and Augustus, both for Northampton. They had 14 each. So to be at 23 is a pretty exceptional tackling effort from him. Plus, he scored a phenomenal try. The dude has got some absolute wheels. Tommy O'Brien still looks sharp for Leinster. That guy's really looked like he's taken his game up a level. Recently scored a nice try, 53 metres from him. 3 clean breaks as well, was looking sharp. But James Ram is not getting as much credit as Freeman because Freeman got the hat-trick, but Ram got one as well, 120 metres, 8 defenders beaten from him. Freeman's numbers were similar. He got more tries, but didn't quite crank through as many metres and broken tackles and whatnot. But yeah, and there's some nasty reading for some of the Leinster guys, like I mentioned. Like, Leinster conceded 8 penalties. 4 of them were Andrew Porter. When you're conceding half of your side's penalties, That's generally not a good look. McCarthy missed 6 tackles. Keenan missed 5. Prendergast missed 5. Ringrose missed 4. So there's a few guys who got beat on defence as well, which you just can't be doing. So the spotlight will continue to go back on Leinster. Do they rotate their squad too much? Do they need to keep things stronger for the URC to build more cohesion between these guys? It's easier to say that when they've had a 3-point loss, but I mean, they were doing it before the previous knockout games as well, and it was amazingly successful. So it is one game, but they certainly didn't fire, and it's another season where the Champions Cup season for them ends in disappointment. Boy, they have a heap of pressure on them to win the URC now. You feel like Leo Cullen basically needs to roll out the strongest team week on week. I mean, we can look at it in hindsight. Should have they opted for 3s? Should have they started Geordie Barrett instead of putting him on the bench? We won't know if it would have made a difference, but you do have to give a heap of credit to Northampton, as I think most people are. They were sharp, man, and they took some exceptional opportunities. Brave, eh? They weren't playing nervously. They figured we'll just have a roll of the dice. Kick return, let's run it back and see what happens. So really, really brave effort from them. Some silky skills. I mean, Augustus' offload for that try was a proper piece of skill. As I mentioned, Pollock's one hitting the line running, Mitchell and him combining. Finn Smith up against Prendergast in a kind of potential young Lions battle. You know, there were a heap of conversations about this game, but Northampton did really, really well for their win. Maybe I should update their logo magnet for the final, because I am way behind the times with their logo still being the old one. So Northampton through to, I think it's the second Champions Cup final for them, right? Back when it was the old Heineken Cup one. Bordeaux and Toulouse. Sorry, I didn't do a match review for that one because it was on at 2:30 in the morning. I watched it belatedly here in New Zealand. 35-18. I think is a bigger margin than media would have predicted. There were some who were saying, you know, Bordeaux with that extra bit of pressure on them trying to make a first Champions Cup final up against Toulouse, who've kind of got that Champions Cup experience. It might be a difference, but Bordeaux did not look rattled at all. I mean, they did have a 10-point lead and then kind of lose that when they coughed up 11 points on the bounce to go behind, but largely you feel like Bordeaux were, I don't want to say in control, but they were looking pretty comfortable for much of this game. And especially at the breakdown, goodness me, they caused Toulouse a heap of problems at the breakdown. I mean, Poirot and Lamotte in particular, but not just them. Some of the backs as well were getting in there to really, really cause issues. Toulouse couldn't build that kind of pressure through phases like we've seen them do in the past. And if anything, the team who looked sharper in terms of like turnover ball or those flurries of play, it was Bordeaux. I mean, that first try, the Samu one, that one was just from turnover ball. And Bordeaux heads up rugby confidence up against Toulouse in a semi-final, not looking to just play territory, although they did control the territory numbers. But yeah, looking to unleash those backs of those Bourros and Penot, who did get injured. I hope he's all right. They've still got a couple of weeks to recover. He didn't look a happy man. He was limping at the end because he stayed on the sideline. But fingers crossed that guy's fit for the final. Yeah, Louis Bielbiere, goodness me, like he bagged a couple of tries. He is still absolute pace, man. They got a couple more. Tamiafuna's one at the end was the kind of nail in the coffin to know that the Toulouse guys weren't going to be able to come back. I mean, they had one through Delib and one through Barassi. They punished Gazotti's yellow card in the second half with the Barassi try to keep themselves in touching distance. But yeah, so many key moments for Bordeaux. Like I mentioned, the breakdown was phenomenal. Like Luku with a long range penalty, backed himself to kick it and then had the skills to get that done. Jalibert, massive kick for touch to get them 5 meters out from Toulouse's line, led to a try, and it came from a breakdown penalty as well. So all those kind of areas of their game combining, they did phenomenally well in that game. So yeah, some of the stats, I mean, Toulouse had more ball, 58%, but Bordeaux dominated the territory with 56%, so that's kind of a split. But the key number for me is the number of rucks that were lost. For Bordeaux, it was 4, but for Toulouse, it was 9. So too much ball surrendered in that area of the field. Bordeaux very, very competitive in that area. I mean, Barassi for Toulouse had 4 clean breaks, but like Cazot had 17 tackles on defence, massive shift. BORvTLS had 5 defenders beaten. Penaud, before he went off, had 5 defenders beaten. Bordeaux had 7 defenders beaten, so quite the back three, one of the best trios in the world for sure at club level, so even at international level, that's a hell of a back three. Very, very dangerous side. And they booked themselves a spot in a final as well. So I don't know who to cheer for in the final. Kiwi connection, who am I looking for? Maybe Big Ben Tamiafuna. He's from the same place as me, both from Auckland. So maybe I should cheer for Big Ben to get his hands on a Champions Cup. But it will be interesting. It's also interesting to hear Ryle Nugent's pronunciation on BORvTLS. Most people call him BORvTLS. Nugent has been in the habit of calling him BORvTLS. And this game, he decided to go with both. I guess they decided prior to the match, call him BORvTLS. Because for the first half he was. But then as soon as he scored a try in the second half, Nugent got all excited. BORvTLS! I don't think that's how his name's pronounced. But, oh well. We all get him wrong. But yeah. Couple of weeks' time. Champions Cup final. It's on at like 1 something in the morning for me. So that's horrendous. But I'm going to have to get up and watch it. Or stay up and watch it, I think. But who are you guys going to cheer for? Northampton or Bordeaux? Like I said, as a neutral, I am chuffed that is a kind of change of the usual pace in terms of the teams that make the final. Both games were pretty interesting. Bordeaux overcome any potential pressure that they had, and Northampton, who were written off, showed people what they are about. You guys let us know your thoughts on the semis, predictions for the final. What does your head say? What does your heart say? Take care, folks, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.